The Heritage Center Association proudly presents the 2004 Walter Rudin Award. The winner started out in Mount Vernon in 1908. After graduating from Mount Vernon High School in 1926, he majored in psychology at Wesleyan College in Connecticut. He completed his bachelor's degree, then went on to work in New York City, working at the same time on a degree in business administration. Our Walter Rudin Award winner entered the insurance business in Hartford, Connecticut, but was called in 1941 to serve his country in World War II. The Mount Vernon native who rose from private to major, then came home to Mount Vernon to serve his community. The man we honor with the 2004 Walter Rudin Award is Alan Kahrl. Alan Karl returned to Mount Vernon during the war in 1943 to marry Evelyn Sperry Conley. While they were stationed at Long Beach, their first son, Jim, was born. At the close of World War II, the Karls returned to Mount Vernon. Alan joined his father's real estate and insurance agency, Kahrl and Ward. Alan and Evelyn's second son, Bob, was born in 1946, followed by Anne in 1952 and Clyde in 1956.
He was the epitome of somebody who would be a host to whoever came to this community, and he did it strictly by, how he lived. He lived what he. People talk about you practice what you preach. Well, he didn't preach it; he just practiced it.
While Alan was a partner contributing to the growth of the successful real estate and insurance company, he was a major force in building Mount Vernon. His activities in his community touched every aspect of life. His commitment to the youth of the community led to his work with the Boy Scouts and a Silver Beaver Award. He chaired the YMCA's campaign to erect the building, which opened in 1966, a showpiece and example for other YMCA building programs. Bob Denzer remembers.
Well, I'd like to say he was Mr. YMCA of Mount Vernon, because he did so much for the Y. He was probably as active and supportive of the Y as much as any layperson could have ever been.
Alan Karl served the community as president of the Mount Vernon Knox County Chamber of Commerce and president of the United Way. He was also a director of First Federal Savings and Loan. Alan's commitment to the youth of the community extended through his leadership in Rotary International. He served as president to this club, which regularly provides scholarships and international learning opportunities to students. Alan's attention to young people continued in his support to the Knox County Career Center and its superintendent, Ray Richardson.
When I first came to town as a superintendent about 15 years ago, he made a point to come out and meet me. He and I think, developed a relationship because he loved people. And he was very instrumental in the growth of the Children's Garden when we first started, and when I talked to him about what our plans were, he wanted to be a part of it. And I remember he was there for the opening ceremony, the dedication, and he came up to me afterwards and he said, looks like you might need another greenhouse, a small greenhouse, to help support the initiative here. And he said I'd be willing to help out with that. And I think he was a spontaneous giver. It wasn't just when someone asked him. I think he was more moved by the needs of the people, the young people particularly, and he wanted to be a help. And I guess that's where it got started.
Alan Karl was an important factor in bringing the Mount Vernon Nazarene University to Knox County and a staunch friend to the university ever after.
A search committee of a new Nazarene college to be located somewhere in central Ohio heard about Mount Vernon and identified it as a prime location for this new school. Mr. Karl and other community leaders heard about this committee coming to Mount Vernon to look at property. Mr. Karl told me that he was the community person who met and greeted the search committee and took them to the Lake Home property which eventually became Mount Vernon Nazarene College. One of the great delights that I've had in my 16 years at Mount Vernon Nazarene University has been the conferring upon Mr. Karhl the Honorary Doctor of Laws and Letters degree. In 1998, the university so honored Mr. Karhl for his outstanding work in the community and his strong support for Mount Vernon Nazarene University.
Alan Karhl loved Mount Vernon, joining with others in the business community to quietly but effectively work toward the revitalization of a changing downtown, including increasing parking through the parking company and the purchase and renovation of aging buildings. Alan and Evelyn contributed to the quality of life in Mount Vernon in countless other ways as well. Those who knew Alan Karhl knew a man who believed his role was to serve his community.
I think he's influenced destiny and painted a brighter future for people that most kids will never know anything about this man. And and he did it in a very modest kind of way, without seeking recognition. And I think that's one of the things that I recall about him so much.
His primary mark probably was in the relationship and the opportunity that he took in getting to know people and being a real friend to people. He just befriended people so readily.
I would like to think that he made a very definite impression on Mount Vernon. It wasn't just the YMCA. I mean, he was involved in every civic activity that you could think of. Anything that was going on at the time, he was a part of it. And so, not only was he Mr. YMCA, he might, one of the pillars of the community.
I remember the Karls together attending almost every community event that we sponsored at MVNU. Their love for music, the arts, special speakers, you could count on them being there. They were special friends. He was a confidant and an advisor to me, and I miss him.
In gratitude for his life of service to Mount Vernon, the Heritage Center Association is proud to present the 2004 Walter Rudin Award to K. Alan Karhl.